like raw horse meat.
Oh, but you can buy packaged grain actually. We drink a lot.
So you mentioned a little bit about sexuality, but
Yeah.
coming out in Croatia could be a difficult thing.
The government is not the best, right? They charge a lot for very little in return. Hello.
Sasha!
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good! Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Give me some
Yes,
espresso, please.
espresso.
You good?
By the way,
Yeah.
where are you from?
I'm from. Do you know Croatia?
Croatia, yes. I actually have friends.
Oh, really?
Yes, from cruise.
Have you ever been? You worked on a cruise. Did you ever go?
No, our cruises didn't go to Croatia actually.
Oh.
I think do you get like big cruises stop by?
There are lots. There's
Oh,
like in the south. There's a
Yeah.
famous city called Dubrovnik,
Mm.
and it's very popular among tourists.
Oh,
We have other spots as well, but I think especially in Asia,
Mm.
Japan and Korea, probably Dubrovnik is the more famous city.
Like it's like one ship, like 4,000 people just land.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of a surprising number of tourists. If you want to go on tourism, beautiful beaches, beautiful national parks, especially.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to see a bit of nature, food is nice.
Oh,
Food is cheap. The country is cheap. Dubrovnik is not cheap, but like the rest of the of the country is relatively cheap. Right? Pula is one that has like buildings, colorful buildings. Right?
does it mean you eat a lot of like seafood?
People at the coast, yes,
Mm.
they eat a lot of seafood. It's pretty Mediterranean climate, so
Yeah.
So the food is also Mediterranean. We're also
Nice.
very close to Italy, right? So there's a lot of recipes imported from there. You can eat a lot of seafood at the coast, but a lot of Croatia is inland.
Mm.
It's kind of the coastal areas and the inland areas kind of separated by a mountain chain, right?
Yeah.
And, so it's actually like a geographical distinguish as well. And at the coast, Mediterranean food, so seafood, lots of fresh spices and these things.
A lot
and
of influences from like Italy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Nice.
inland we have more influence from Central Europe, Austria, Germany,
Yeah,
Hungary.
yeah.
You know, if you go to the east of Croatia, there's a lot of Hungarian food. You can get goulash. You can get
Yeah.
also
So
the
more like
country,
potato.
yeah, potato bread
meat.
based. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say even at the coast they eat more rice probably than
Okay.
inland.
Yeah.
They have risotto, right, which is also a dish imported.
So like in Japan, like
Yeah.
we eat like weird stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we eat grasshoppers. I mean, not every morning, but you know, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a very local countryside food.
Yeah.
Or we eat like raw horse meat.
Oh, okay.
Do you have anything like weird things that you eat in Croatia but you don't find it?
We don't have it. We eat brain. I mean,
Okay.
it's not
There we go.
common. It's not common.
Mm.
But you can buy packaged brain actually from lamb or I think
Oh, you can buy it.
you can buy that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think I personally have never eaten it, so I think it's weird for us as well. But you can
It's
buy
weird.
it. Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
How do you
Oh,
taste it?
one thing maybe that might be weird. It's fried fat, right? So
Right.
we have this, especially in our region in Croatia,
Mm.
Serbia, Bosnia, right? We have this tradition Usually it's once a year, but it can be any time. But
Yeah.
usually around Christmas. We call it literal translation is slaughter, right? So a family buys a pig or 2 pigs,
Right.
and then they prepare it
Wow.
to make meat out of it, right? It's usually a big roast, but sometimes especially if they buy 2, then they use 1 pig for the roast. And the other one is made into various dishes like sausages, right?
Right.
And out of those dishes, they take the fat and the skin and sometimes meat. They dice it and they fry it. Right?
Oh,
And they
okay.
make it. It's called schwarz, and it's, for me personally, it's pretty disgusting, right? It's way too fat, and this used to be kind of a poor man's dish because it's fat and people don't see nutritious value in it. But recently, it has become a bit of a gourmet product.
So in Japan we like eat like ramen after we have drinks.
Oh,
That's like a kind of typical.
yeah,
Like in the UK they eat kebab
yeah.
after parties. Do you have anything like that?
But we call it borek, which is basically a pie. And mostly it's filled with meat. So you can have variations with that. So you can have meat with potatoes, for example. You can have just cheese. You can have
Sounds good.
spinach borek. It's very tasty. It's fairly cheap. It's maybe 200 yen for a this big dish. Right?
Yeah, that's nice.
It's delicious as drunk food. You can eat it as a day food as well. It's kind of a street food, right? Yep.
So what do you drink in the parties?
Oh gosh, whatever you want. I think it changed recently. When I was studying in high school, we used to drink a lot of cheap wine, and
Okay.
you mix it with if it's white wine, you mix it with mineral water, right? If it's red wine, you mix it with Coke.
Oh, nice.
Because it's cheap, it's really bad wine.
Yeah.
Because you're a student, right? You don't have money.
It's easy to drink.
It's easy to drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is to get drunk. It's not, the idea is not to drink because I'm drunk. Right?
Right.
So it used to be, I think wine took 35, 40% of all the alcohol sales in Croatia.
Oh, okay.
But in the recent years, as we had a lot of, especially like after I moved to Japan, we got a lot of microbreweries.
Right.
So it was kind of a craft beer revolution in Croatia. So this ratio changed a little bit. If you want to be a bit more traditional, you can get rakia. And rakia is popular because there's a lot of homemade rakia. Rakia is basically like a strong brandy type of drink. It's
Made out of.
various things. I think the most prominent rakias are made of plum, right?
Okay.
It's a distilled liquor. You can make them from other fruits as well. Apple. I like pear rakia. It tastes very nice. Anyway, it's popular because a lot of families brew them, at home.
Right.
Make them at home.
Different flavors and stuff.
Cheap drink.
Yeah.
Not really flavors.
Oh, okay.
You will see that there's a lot of there's kind of a theme going on here, where the idea is not to enjoy the drink, but to drink, right? We drink a lot. We drink a lot. It's I think Americans and British maybe do way more drugs, but this is not. It's available, I think, in Croatia, but it's not so. I think way more popular than that is just alcohol because it's easy to get.
Right.
Even if you're underage, you can get it easily.
Yeah.
Few people check. I got my first drinks when I was 15, 14.
So how do you say booze in Croatian?
Wine is vino, beer is pivo. So if you want to say let's go for a beer, which happens,
Yeah.
either one, not pivo.
Croatia is not that big country.
It's
is
not.
it?
It's not. It
Yeah.
takes me. So I'm from the inland. I'm from the capital, Zagreb.
Mm.
Right? It takes me about a 2-hour drive to go to the nearest coast. 2.5 hours.
Oh.
And it's my family does often a 1-day trip. You know, it's a day and night difference. It's not really. You know,
Mm.
I live in Tokyo now, and it's maybe half an hour drive to the coast, but it's still the same. It's still Tokyo.
Yeah.
But in Croatia, it's day and night difference. You know, you go to the coast, the architecture is different, the climate is different. It's warmer, it's more mild. You know, the infrastructure is different, food is
Yeah.
different. The people speak a different dialect, same
Yeah.
language, but it becomes harder.
Within the like 2 hours.
Right.
Drive
Yeah.
range.
So, Croatia, especially in certain villages, some people you can't understand.
Mm.
You know? Even half an hour drive from where I am. You drive north, and there are
Cool.
villages like north of Zagreb, behind mountains.
Mm.
And they have like a really strong dialect.
Yeah.
It's not even the accent; it's just the words that they're using.
Mm.
Lots of influence from Hungary, lots of influence
Right.
from Germany.
Right. So I know you're young, but do you have any interest in history?
In history,
Your country's history.
I mean, I know about it.
Okay.
You
You have 30 seconds to describe.
Oh shit. History. Can you give us a brief overview of our country's history? They're like, fucking hell, come on. Born in the 7th century, got the birth certificate in the 9th, and then lived in the parental control until in the late 90s, last century. There you go.
Oh.
How did they become a country? So we had, I think, the first mentions came from like the 7th century, and I'm talking without doing like just from my memory now.
Okay. Sure.
7th century, and then I think kingdom in the 9th. And then we had 200 years for independent kingdom of Croatia, right? And then since then until the late 90s, 20th century, we were more or less always in a union with other countries. So mostly with Austria and Hungary, and sometimes with Serbia, Slovenia, Bosnia, right? Under various kingdoms, right? And there was a brief period of time where, like during the Second World War, where Croatia was kind of an independent country. It was actually just a satellite state of Germany, right? And then in the 90s, we separated from Yugoslavia. We had a war with all neighboring countries, partly with Bosnia and mostly with Serbia. And since then, it's basically the Republic of Croatia, so independent.
So, do you have love hotels in Croatia?
No, love hotels are a very interesting concept. But
Yeah,
I think
it is, isn't it?
I think it's more because of I don't know. I was thinking originally, love hotels would be because there's no space and you might live with your parents for a long time, and so you go for a love hotel. But then later, as I met more and more people, as I got more into the culture, you realize that most people that use love hotels are just need a place to cheat.
That's one of the big reason, I think.
Yeah, we don't have love hotels. We have enough space, primarily. I think a lot of people still live with their parents.
Well, I think my personal opinion is about love hotels in Japan is I think Japanese young people need to have some sort of things to entertain them. So which is like karaoke. Like we don't have much creative ways to entertain ourselves.
Yeah.
Not because we're stupid, I think just we're not really accustomed to it.
Right.
We have kind of typical stereotype, dating settings. Like going to aquarium, movies,
Right.
and nice restaurants and drink whatever the famous drinks and then karaoke and
Yeah.
then love hotels.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
kind of like set
Yeah.
thing in Japan,
Right.
like dating scenes, which I really don't like.
Yeah.
But I think that love hotel is also like very creative thing. It
Yeah.
entertains you in a different categories.
He comes. I think a lot of the cultural differences into play, because sex and love life, it's kind of Japanese are a weird combination of open-minded, because you have like all these
Hentai.
hentai, right?
Yeah,
Mangas, you
that's
have.
really
But
weird.
you have like sex stores. You have like
Yeah.
this Akihabara has several multi-stories, right? Which is fantastic, But then you enter the Western world, and especially a bit more conservative countries, and Croatia does fall into that.
Yeah.
Where there's a lot of influence from Christianity, right? And you should keep your sexuality to yourself, and then you become a bit more prudent, right? I think we are more similar to in aspects to going out. We're more similar
Yeah.
to Germans, right? So you go out to, especially in Zagreb, in my city, right? You gather a bunch of friends, you go to the park, you have drinks outside. It's usually very warm weather, very nice weather, and so this is the similarities with Germany, right? So you go late after that, you go to a club, you dance your night away, and you go back home, right? Early mornings. But we are less open-minded about sex, like Germans, for example. They're similar to more similar to Japanese about this. They embrace the sexuality and the culture, and therefore also the dating scene is a bit more open-minded. Right? So you can have much more easier casual flicks in Germany, and I'd say not too different. Like with the places where you go, right? Except that the first date is usually at a cafe. So we drink a lot of coffee.
Right.
Coffee is kind of the top of the pyramid of social interactions in Croatia, right? So everything is decided in coffees, right? We have one of our former prime ministers is in jail, and it was funny. They charged him with a lot of things, corruption primarily, and there was a video of him at a cafe arranging a deal. This was done. Everything is done in cafes, is what I'm saying, right? So dating is done in cafes, right? So if you want to go for a date with somebody but kind of don't want to be direct, let's say, let's go for a date, you ask the person, let's go for a coffee, right?
So you mentioned a little bit about sexuality, but coming out in Croatia could be a difficult thing.
Oh yeah, I think this is where the conservative the conservative influence comes from, Christianity and Catholicism, right? I think, especially if you're in the south, at the coast, right, they're a bit more conservative and less accepting, right? There are, obviously there are gay people in Croatia, right? And, probably a lot of people know them even without knowing, right? But yeah, it's still kind of taboo.
Yeah.
Taboo. You can talk about it in Zagreb. We have Pride, and there hasn't been any major incidents in years now, so it's good. That people live, It's not the most open-minded society in that regard.
But I guess the surrounding areas is kind of same.
Yeah.
Except Germany.
I think the goal, right? The ultimate goal, if you make a society where people are happy, with themselves, everybody, the overall happiness increases, right?
Right.
And a lot of people are unhappy if they feel like they are undervalued, right? So and in Croatia there's a lot of low salaries, undervalued, so people can't pay. The government is not the best, right? They charge a lot for very little in return. Japan, I pay taxes, and I pay probably less taxes than I would in Croatia, but I get much more in return. The infrastructure is amazing, but in Croatia it's just incompetence. You know, so people are okay. I'm paying you. I'm wasting my vote on you, right? But I don't get anything in return. You know, and not only that, you are getting 200 new cars, while I have to struggle to survive. So people are unhappy, right? And if you're unhappy, you get angry, and if you're angry, you know, you want to let it out on somebody. And who are you gonna let it out on somebody? Or on who are you gonna let it out on? People who are different, right? Whoever is different, whether they have more money, right? So you break their car, you scratch their car, you key their car, or you just rob them. People who have a different sexual orientation, you know, are like, oh, look at them, he's happy with his life, you know, let's hate them, you know.
Okay.
Good.
Thanks for all the talk.
1 hour. I need to get back to work. Yeah, pop green.
Pop green.
Déjà? Alright.
Yay!
Thanks for the coffee. It was delicious as usual. And yeah.
Thanks for the talk.
No problem. I do need to get back to work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I enjoyed
see you later.
actually. Yeah. Yay! Thank you for watching. This is all for today. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.